Hello, in this tutorial we're going to look how to simulate or create this high dynamic range look with images that you took on a camera. Sometimes you maybe take JPEG image, and I'll show you after how we can enhance in this case. But if you use a camera, like in this case it was shot on Canon 5D Mark III in RAW format, so we have a little bit more information in the image that we can pull out. For example, some like right here whites, you can see the blowing away. We want to add some details, as well take some details in a black dark areas and bring them out. The first things what I want to do is go inside the camera raw and go in a lens correction, and we enable to remove some chromatic abbreviations, and also we can add profile correction. And you can see right here we have it 7200 f.2 Mark II lenses was shot, so it's adjust a little bit, remove vignetting and adjust some corrections. So let's go ahead next, and I want to add sharpness. Okay, radius probably 1 around, and we'll take amount and bring somewhere around 70. The reason why I want to bring sharpness back, because in Mark III we have an anti-aliasing filter applied to our image, and that creates some kind of fuzziness that I want to restore back to the sharpness that was before. Okay, now we're going in the main basic tab, and what we're going to do is work with these tabs, the sliders, highlights and shadows. If you notice, we come closer right here and we'll look on the highlights. We can bring down, and you can see, because we have more information stored in our image, we actually could bring down and bring more details inside. As well, if we look on the shadow area, we take shadows and we bring them up. But be careful, because with bringing shadows very high, we introduce some of digital noise, and this digital noise can be introduced like in the area right here. You can see right there, kind of the grainies start popping up, coming up. But again, we can add a little bit more, and this is a little bit flatten, prepare our image to the process. In some cases, when you shot with some other format log file, you can have it very flat looking as a contrast image. In this case, we preserve our highlights and we'll preserve our shadows, and we can restore them after. But again, in this case, we will simulate it. So right here, image, I kind of flatten out a little bit. We could bring a little bit brightness, just touch up. I think that will work. So let's go ahead, open image inside the Photoshop. So as we in Photoshop, what I want to do first, it is a little bit flattened image, and we're going to do this by the curve. So we'll go select the curves, and we'll change this curve to luminosity mode. Next, we'll take our black and just bring a little bit up. You can see how it's already flattened. We take white, in this case, just a little bit. And overall, you can see our image is become a little bit flattened. Next, I want to do is press Ctrl Shift Alt E or Command Shift Option E on a Mac, and it will take all of these visible images, merge them together, and creating brand new layer for me. Next things, what I want to do with this layer is go to Image, Adjustment, and we're going to Black and White. One thing for this image, for this layer, I will be using a soft light. And soft light, it is contrast type blending mode, which will take 50% gray is invisible. And as we're going darker, it will create brighter or in darker, a little bit darker mode. So it's kind of add this additional curving, and that's what we're going to do. In this image, we have majority green colors. So if you notice, I modify red. We have a little bit adjustment, but not that much. We'll bring a little bit yellow up. And I want to add additional this kind of dimension now. And notice on the green, we definitely have a lot of green. And notice what's happening. From flat image, I start adding a little bit lighting, add more dimension. Okay, we can take on a black. And usually what I want to do, I want to distinguish some of those coloring. Maybe a little bit down on a blue. And magenta, we hardly have, just right here a bit on the people. When we're done, click OK. Next, I want to go inside the image, adjustment, shadow and highlights. And in shadow and highlights, we'll set our radius 10 on above. And by the way, if you not see this menu, you probably in this basics tab, just click right here where it says show more options. It will expand. Okay, radius 10 and 10 for both. We take amount of the shadows 100% and highlight 100%. You see how it's a little bit flattened, but we still have those differentials between, as we applied between different elements like blue color and other ones. Next, with a tone, we can add more. And remember what I said before, because we have it 50%, if we leave it right here, this is middle and it's kind of will be invisible. So by moving a little bit more in a darker, I make those elements will be darker in our image. So I can actually go all the way black, but I want just a little bit dark them. And same with highlights. If we're going down, we can bring them from 50%, make them much brighter, or we can flatten them also. But in this case, I'll just bring a little bit up. So right here we have our image, gray color, and remember what I said before, we're going to switch to the soft light. And look right now what we have it. We have this kind of HDR look for our image. Of course, we can go ahead and bring this just a little bit down, so not too much. Let's group those together. And you can see this is image before and after. Some in blacks, like in this area. We can see we brought some details out. At the same time, we still have it pop up a little bit more on items, create kind of better contrast between all of them. And again, in this case, maybe it's not as visible, but it is look more as a compress with the right here. Let's just as example to showing you can see enhancing happening, more simulating on the HDR image. Okay, one more things let's do for this. We'll go click and select curves, and I just want to apply a little bit of the color to this, make pop up a little bit more. We go in a color mode, take a blue, bring up and center down, so warming up, make colder shadows. And same with, we can look on a, if we want a little bit colder, actually I want a little bit warmer going in this case, and correct this down. And let's go create one more curve for luminosity, and I want to bring shadows just a little bit up, like right there. So right here you can see we have our image before and after. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and remember to visit us at www.geekatplay.com or subscribe on YouTube for more tutorials.